Hi guys, and welcome back! Last devlog, I added more structure by using the handy dandy clipboard I made, featuring major things I worked on since the previous devlog. I'll try from now on to also add a tiny tutorial on one of these topics, giving a shout out to the Godot YouTubers who helped me grasp these concepts in the first place. Today, I wanted to show you the new Parallax backgrounds, a movable box, and a second rework of the tile sets. I've already made 3 games with Parallax backgrounds because Parallax backgrounds look amazing. 2 of them were made in Godot 3.5, while the newest one, Destroy Reality, was made in Godot 4.2. I learned how to make Parallax backgrounds way back during my time generally learning how to handle Godot 3.5, with one of the best tutorial series, in my opinion, made by BornCG, link in the description. Because I think it's not that easy to grasp just by looking at the nodes required, I wanted to show how I made my parallax background effect in a sort of mini tutorial right now. A parallax background, by definition, is a multitude of layers of art, all moving, but all moving at a slightly offset speed to add depth and distance to your game. You'll need at least 2 layers, one being the static background image and one being all the moving objects. In my experience, it's best though to add some more layers because each individual layer adds more depth. Once you have all your layers, you import them individually into Godot, then you start by adding a parallax background node to your scene tree or creating a custom scene with it as a root node. Once done, you add as many parallax background layer nodes as a child of the parallax background node as you have art, each layer node representing each layer in your artwork. Then add a texture rect 2D as a child of all your parallax background layer nodes. Add your artwork in the texture field, set the texture rect to tile mode, stretch it out until it covers your viewport's width if you're making a front-facing game, and the whole viewport if it's a top-down game. Go back to the parallax background layer node and set mirroring to your viewport width and or height according to your game. And set the scale to how fast or slow you want this specific layer to be. The X scale represents on how fast it moves on the X-axis, and Y how fast it moves on the Y-axis. Very important, the normal value of both scales is 1. This means if you want a parallax background layer, which has the same screen time or is just as fast as a normal sprite, then you need to set the value back to 1 on each axis. If you want it to be slower, so generally a parallax background, the scale factor needs to be lower than 1. And if you want it to be faster, then you need to set it higher than 1. I added a faster layer with the warning tape in game because this is very near to the screen and I wanted it to move faster than normal. Because I specifically wanted this to feel like a big cramped city, I added 5 different layers of towers to the background and made them all feel relatively fast. To emphasize this, in future I'll probably have cars driving along the road, but that's for another devlog. I then started working on the box because I knew it would rather be a pain. There are 2 ways to make such a box to my knowledge, one using a rigid body 2D node and somehow stopping it from glitching into the ground, or via a normal static body 2D node and having to code a system to push the box. I decided to go with the static body 2D approach because it'll give me more control over the speed and weight of the box. I used an area 2D to see if there's a player near enough to push, and then I checked which input button is pressed, meaning the box is just a glorified player. Once something is input, the box then changes a variable inside of the player to, instead of playing the normal walking animation, it would play the push animation. The big question now is what happens to a player if he goes under a box when falling? I have some ideas for this, but I would appreciate any inputs and comments on this. After that, I remade the whole tile set once again because, well, it didn't seem to look right. The beams were far too large for real steel beams, and I most definitely wanted more tile sets than just metal beams. So I started fresh by redesigning all the metal beams, but a bit smaller, as they looked a lot bigger in-game. Before I remade all the different tiles I already had, made like a T-piece or an X-piece, I started small to figure out the style of the tile set I was going for, by only making the corners and the normal beam in 4 directions. I'm very happy with how they turned out, and I decided to then start on some of the other ones as well. I already have the same pieces as scaffolding, as a liquid pipe, and as a vent. That's all for now. I hope you enjoyed watching, and see you next time. And if you want to see how it all started, here's the start of the playlist.